Shiflett, who's a realtor with Moreland Properties. He's been at the top of the ABJ list as long as I have been a real estate agent, and last year's president, right? Charlotte Lipscomb led a very successful team at Compass and has seen the changes of the Austin market throughout the years. Very good friend. Shireen Andahal, did I say your name right? She here? Yeah. Okay, so you mic'd up? Okay. So, yeah, y'all come on up. She works with the Bridget Ramey team at Cooper Sotheby's. She has a background in high-end interior design. And then lastly, Barry Jenkins. He runs a team in Virginia Beach. So, y'all come on up and thank you.
One more mic, Ryan. Give us just a second back here.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. I've known Serene for a few years now, and this is the first time I've ever met her. So
I just put that in the Zoom.
That's right. So
Ryan, Charlotte's coming.
Okay.
Hi.
Isn't that funny how real estate works? You know someone for so many years, and thank you. Okay. So, and then do you have the other mic? Or they're all mic'd up? Okay. So how has luxury market changed for you guys in the last 10 years?
Oh, wow. Go ahead.
I didn't know if we're going down the row or what. So, hey guys, first, I'm Cord Shiflett with Moreland. It's nice to be here. If y'all have questions or whatever at the end, feel free to ask away. I do better at those than questions. But let's see, how's the market changed in 10 years? For me, it's just more than anything how our price points have moved. And I remember, we used to kind of $2 and $3 million were big numbers, and if someone had a $5 million guy come to town, we were like, holy crap, this is incredible. And I remembered when COVID first started, and people were having buyers that were, and this is like the first 3 months of it, they had buyers coming to town that were 20 to 50 million, and we were just all like, oh my gosh. And I kept count of them, and then I lost count because so many were coming, truly. And so our numbers in Austin just kind of went nuts, as you all know.
Yeah, so we're seeing the luxury has just exploded here.
Yeah, but so to me, luxury used to be $1 million, and that luxury starts at 3 in my book. So
Very different. And buyer expectations are very different. I think we have a much more sophisticated buyer pool than we've ever had. They appreciate fine architecture, luxury finishes, and they have different expectations. And so we're working to meet that.
I know for me, I've changed over the last 10 years. 10 years ago, I actually avoided luxury clients because I had the wrong perception that I had to pretend lifestyles of the rich and famous and oh my gosh, I love that. I just wasn't me. I'm just not, that's not my personality. Yeah. And then I started hanging out with rich people, and I realized that they just want to be treated normal.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons I wanted you on this panel is because you shifted into luxury fairly recently, a few years ago. Yeah. How did you make that transition?
Honestly, digital marketing. You're able to decide what are the wealthy searching for? What are they looking at? And then you build a business model around what they're paying attention to. So once you know what they're paying attention to, you just get to be a part of the discussion. To dumb it down, I would say it's similar to having an open house in a luxury neighborhood and neighbors stopping by. You're relevant because you're already in the neighborhood, but you can do that digitally as well. And so once I got to sit behind the computer screen and start playing with the dials, that actually enabled me to scale that pretty well.
So that leads to the next question, which you already answered, but how did you guys get into the luxury niche?
Over time.
Yeah.
It's your personal sphere of influence, and through a variety of different things that happen in your life, and you're exposed to that.
Yeah. Cord?
I was born with a silver spoon in my ass. I don't think that. I know that's what you want to hear. That's not the truth. Yeah. It was kind of an interesting story. I got licensed at, I can't remember if I was 20 or 21, but Emily Moreland came and asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, well, Westlake. And she was like, you're nuts. You need to do Millwood, which I didn't know where that was. For those of you that don't, North Austin, just north of
I
183.
still don't know where that is.
But she said that's where your age is going to be. That's where first-time buyers are going to be. And I was like, well, that's not what I want to do. I want to go sell the big things. And so I jumped in, and immediately that's where my people were. That's where my knowledge was. But I would tell anyone, it's really interesting. The grass is always greener on both sides. When luxury market's slow, I look at everyone that does Circle C, and I'm like, those houses are just churning. And I'm like, I want to be in that market. And then everyone else wants to be in our market. We sell, one house every 3 months. Y'all sell 4 houses every month. So, but the big thing I tell people is just pick what you love, whatever it is. I don't care if it's downtown condos, Lake Austin, ranches, first-time home buyers, luxury. Pick what you love, and the money just follows that. And so I grew up, this is so much longer answer than any of y'all want to hear.
No, it's good.
My father just retired a year ago, so is or was an architect, and he designed many of these big homes. And so I grew up in those, and I knew those people and networked with them. I started off washing their cars when I was in high school in his office parking lot. And then those clients knew me and trusted me and eventually got me to sell their homes. So that's kind of how I came up through it. But it's what's in me, it's what I know, it's what I love. Yeah. So that's why I do it.
People ask, how do you get into luxury? And I think the simplest way is move in a luxury neighborhood and have kids. So, which is true, right? I mean, I moved in a neighborhood that became luxury. So, okay, so since, the market has changed, in the last 6 months, how are you adapting your marketing for listings? What are you doing for your seller presentations, that type of thing? Serene, you want to take a
Sure.
stab?
Well, I'm really honored. I just joined Miss Bridget Ramey's team, so that's just been an amazing step forward in my career. And she has a lot of listings right now. So in terms of what we're doing to service those listings, to provide the highest level of service, and also pivot with the changing market, we are really focused on our process. You will see me at every single open house she holds. Please come and see us. And for us, it's just the more that we can collaborate with other realtors, get eyeballs on those listings, that's really what leads to showings. And we're starting to have a lot of success with that. A broker will come through one of our broker open houses and say, actually, I do have a client in mind with this. And it is turning over to showings. And as you know, we need showings for contracts being written. So,
Yep.
I mean, we didn't, in the past, but now we do. I think, something that I've really seen moving forward in the market is, I think, because there was such a feeding frenzy the last 2 years, we've really seen buyers take a breath and say, I do have other options. I'd like to take time to consider those options. And I think they're also just looking for something really exceptional. They're a little less, I think, at this point saying, oh, I'm at 75% on this house. I'm going to pay $10 million for it. Now they're like, okay, I love this house. Let's negotiate.
Yeah. What about you guys marketing? Marketing your listings. Are you adapting for? Because you didn't have to do that the last few years, right? Or not as much. So,
Right.
Is anything changed?
I think to some degree. I think it's more contact with other people, whether it's your sphere or other agents. It's just a matter of that consistent, put eyes before it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different ways, whether it's digital or print. I still do some print. A lot of people don't. But I think you have to have a scatter shot.
Well, and that's a good point because, like, a lot of the properties that you guys sell are not even on the market, right? So, you got to go through some different things. I mean, are you starting to put more homes on the market now? Yeah.
So I keep trying not to jump in because I'll talk all day. I'm hoping different people answer different
I think
questions.
you're doing a great job.
Me too.
A lot has changed in 6 months, and so I've got 2 other people that work with me, if any of y'all know Sean and Louisa, and Sean has been licensed 10 years, Louisa 2, and so it's been so interesting to see them go through this market because I realize we've all been on a gravy train, and none of us had to do any work. It literally fell in our laps. And just in the last 6 months, as y'all probably know, at the beginning of June, someone pulled that emergency brake. And so now I'm telling them, I watch them and I'm like, guys, why aren't you doing an open house? If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it because that's where my leads come from. And I should also warn all of you, I'm very different than probably most of you. I don't see many people losing their hair, and I don't see many people nearly as fat. I'm older than most of y'all and have done this longer. I don't know all these young tricks that everyone's doing, and I hear the AI stuff. I wish I could see my AI chats when I enjoy chatting with them and telling them dirty things. But I think that we all do business differently. Mine is not done through digital and all of that. Many of y'all may see me on Facebook every 2 years. I'm like, I need a CRM. Who's got a guy? And we still can't seem to get it. We're working on it now. But I just go back to the old tricks of mail outs have worked so well for me, and I don't do them as often as I should. Nothing is better than open houses, and I just beat this into new agents whenever people call, and I'm just like, you have the opportunity to get in front of someone. Maybe it's not $4 million, it's 400,000, and they're just looking, but they're out there at least interested. Like, that's the warmest lead I think you could ever get. So I'm a big fan of doing those, and then it's just being where those people are. And so, you know, I'll try and go once a week to eat lunch at Austin Country Club and just be around people. So y'all know, whenever you say that you're into real estate, you know, it's like you're in porn. They all want to know, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I want to talk about you, about your job. So it's interesting to them. And so I try and be where they are. If it's at a fundraiser or just as soon as you make yourself known in what you do, they'll come to you. So I try and lead with a lead. Lead with a lead.
No, that was good. That was good. I was just going to add that this is true for luxury and non-luxury, but with the market shift, urgency and demand dipped. And so if you're wanting your leads or your clients to have a clear grasp on what their needs are, when they want to do it, that sense of certainty so that you can just be told what to do, I think you're really going to struggle right now. I think it's a much better conversation when let's say the person is of wealth and they say they want to wait for the market to shift. Instead of just saying, okay, can I call you in a year, just use how or what questions. Okay, that's great. It sounds like you're planning it ahead. How did you decide you're waiting a year? So if you drill down on the objection with both people of wealth and not of wealth, what you're going to find is 9 times out of 10, they really don't know. They just have this general looming fear. And as soon as they recognize that, that's your moment to go back to what they really need. So I'll give an easy example. They have 2 children and they have 2 bedrooms. And the kids are old enough now to where they should have their own bedroom. Well, in saying, how are you going to know when you want to buy? And they might say, well, I'm not really sure. Well, okay, well, what are you hoping to change about where you live? Oh, my kids need an extra bedroom. Okay, at what point is it going to be worth it to you to buy the room that your child needs? I'm not going to tell you when that is. You tell me. Is it okay if you pay more per month for a mortgage so that you can provide that extra bedroom? I'm not going to answer that for you. What you'll find is that bringing awareness to what their needs really are, they love it. I think we all love being with a professional that makes it easy on us, that brings self-awareness, helps us to think things through. It's refreshing. And so using that, this whole market thing, for people of wealth, it's smoke and mirrors. If they want something, they're going to buy it. This is Texas. Come on.
Well, and so when you list properties in Virginia Beach, do you sell luxury off market or on? Or both?
Mostly on. Yeah, mostly on market,
okay.
yeah. But there's only we don't have, anything over 600,000 in our market is luxury. So it's kind of like, it's like luxury.
So, okay, what's the biggest misconception about luxury properties, and particularly in Austin, if you have, not luxury residential, do you think? What do you think that, like, agents that don't sell luxury think, what?
Why don't you throw us a myth and we'll bust it? I don't know what the urban legends
You have to
are.
drive a nice car.
Yeah, that's a good one.
True.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's hit on that.
Yeah.
I tell people this. I mean, that's for me. This works for me. You can cut me up all you want. That's my office. That's my image. Those people are comfortable being around people that understand and speak their language. So, sweet Louisa, that works for me. I was like, you got to buy a nicer car. You're going to be showing these houses.
Well, especially the way Austin's changed. I mean, you said it earlier. We went from 2 to 5 million is like top of the market to what, 25 to and more. And what about you guys? Any misconceptions or myth busts you want to address?
I kind of have an encouragement
Yeah.
is every deal I've ever worked on as a realtor is different, and that's no different at the luxury level. Everybody's needs are so specific, every negotiation is so specific, but at the end of the day, I think, the level of service has to be the absolute highest that you can provide, and it should be. For me, that was always at every price point, but I think you understand that maybe even more at the luxury price point, but it's just real estate with more zeros. That's what my sales manager told me, because I was intimidated at first, and she said, you can do this.
Right.
And, I think you find your sea legs working with that, and you just run with it.
Yep. Okay, and what would be a piece of advice you'd give an agent that's looking to get into luxury?
I think you should just preview.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you make an appointment to go impose on someone when it's an appointment-only listing and you just want to take a look. You go to the agent tours, you go to open houses, and you do everything you can to see those properties. You can't sell it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and show people that you're doing it too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it makes such a difference if you know the inventory.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing no matter what your market is. That's what I tell people. It's just if you want to do downtown, go learn them all, and just make that your job when you're not on the phones, being out there. But those silly property tours that everyone makes fun of, they're so helpful. Because when you're holding that open house and that person says it's not for me, you want to be able to say, well, hey, I just saw this. This is coming up yet. No one else knows about it. We just heard it on a property tour. Charlotte and I are on the board. We're not allowed to talk about selling properties off market. That's illegal, right, Charlotte? CCP.
I think it's good to talk about that and say, this is not something agents cooked up. These are people that have all kinds of privacy issues.
Yes.
And it's their desire, and it's our fiduciary to do our best to try and sell them. It's not easy. It's like tying one hand and foot behind you, because they don't want everyone in the world to know their personal information. They don't want their children, their boss, their employees. It's a personal thing that's very important. It's a privacy issue. So
Yeah,
it's a struggle.
I would add to what you said about touring. There's an agent in Miami I was friends with that he would do videos, he'd do reels, of all these like luxury property tours, and he did it for a long time. And I asked him, I said, how'd you get into luxury? He's like, man, I did this for a year. I got into luxury. Like, I really got in luxury like 3 months ago. So.
But he laid the groundwork.
You have a question, Sue?
Yeah, you taking questions?
Yeah.
In the area of myth busting, I'm sure you guys can bust this one. Personal property kills a deal. Furniture, pickup truck that is used on the property, a tractor, something like that. I'm sure that doesn't trip you up, but it trips up a $500,000 deal all the time.
Oh, it trips up like crazy. I hate it when we get contracts with that. I always just try and keep them separate. And I say, we're not going to let that get in the way of this. So here's your house deal. During the option period, let's work out the rest of this deal if you're able to. But yeah, that's way sticky.
It kills a lot of deals.
I second that. I think if you do phase one, which is let's agree on the price of the property, and then, through option and maybe even after option, that's really when you're agreeing to the non-realty items.
Well, and the art of a successful negotiation is making everyone feel like they won. And I like to use, did you ever see those choose your own adventure books? I used to have them as a kid. So what I do is I don't tell them what to do. I say, if you go down door number A and you make the stuff the priority, it's going to get in the way of what you really want. And if you want to do that, you're a grown-up, and I'm going to empower you to do that. But I just want you to know how it's going to end. Here's door B, and here's door C. You tell me what you want to do. And so you're giving them the benefit of your experience without having to trump your knowledge of what's best to theirs. You literally are presenting them with the ability to choose, and it's a very endearing conversation versus you just saying something like, you need to listen to me. That doesn't work. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And back to your other point, I think in our culture, authenticity is the character trait that is what enables more sales than any other. I think our culture really values when they're dealing with an authentic person. And so know your client. If your client's an engineer, chances are they're not gonna, I'm generalizing, but they're probably not gonna be like warm and fuzzy, they want hugs, they're gonna have a measuring tape, right? And then if you've got somebody that is a business owner they're gonna value ingenuity. If you have somebody that's been corporate America their whole life, they're gonna value making things easy for them. Like there's all these things, and you're in the service industry, you gotta make it easy for them and adapt to them the best way you can.
One other thing I would throw back to what Charlotte was saying about going on tours and stuff. Another great thing about that, or another thing I would tell you to look at if you want to get into luxury, is meet and get to know the other people that are in it, because you're wanting to work deals with those. And it's, we always get calls of showing property or previewing property or multiple offers. You get contracts from people. It's really helpful when you know the agents that you're working with. And I can't tell you how many times, y'all have probably all done the same. In Circle C, when you're getting 40 offers, I would always tell people, be like, I'm looking a lot at the agents rather than the buyers.
Absolutely.
I know who I want to work with, who closes deals, how tough different people are. There's a lot goes into that. So if you want to get to luxury, get to know the people that are in it.
Yeah.
We're all pretty friendly.
Yeah. And you have some questions?
We do. We had a question come in. What are the different ways that you market the off MLS?
I'm sorry.
What are the different ways that you market off market?
We don't do off market.
That's right.
know.
Oh, yeah.
This question is for
Theoretically.
Serene.
So yeah, like 60% of my business is off market, and it's a big number. And I always try and tell people too. Just make it up. Who's a famous person that lives in Austin? Give me a name.
Matthew McConaughey.
Okay. Matthew
McConaughey, the
McConaughey.
bongos.
If I have Matthew McConaughey's listing, I want the entire world to know about it. I want to put my flag in there and put it in MLS and have every newspaper on the planet saying it. That's good for us as agents, as marketing. It's also good for our clients to get those marketed. So exactly what Charlotte said, the clients don't want that. And so you just have to handle things on a much different level. But marketing those, for us, it's talking with each other, knowing these things are coming up. There's that wonderful ALN, Austin Luxury Network, that has a lot of off-market properties there. If you're not in there, you certainly need to look at that. We do them without talking about specifics. It's, I do lots of postings of, I've got this listing in this area that's about this much, and you just try and not give the details that your client someone would immediately know what it is.
Well, and then marketing to the other agents too, right?
Oh, that's all of it.
Pick up the
Of course.
call, pick up the
Agent
phone.
database.
That's why it's good to, this is one thing I've learned about these conferences is like you should not fear your competition because they can be your biggest asset, not just in terms of, getting the property out there, but like people want to share once they get over themselves.
And Ryan, that's one of the big myths, especially that agents have had with this CCP stuff, is they think that we want to double in the commissions on those. And I'm like, I don't have those buyers. It's like I am absolutely marketing all of those to agents. And so it was really interesting when we heard that comment come up. I was just like, it may happen once in a blue moon, but we're marketing those to agents. They're the ones that have the buyers.
That's right. Okay, now that just brings me to one other question: is what do you guys want to see when you get 2 or more offers in on a listing? Like, what are your terms? What do you like to see?
The key to multiple offers is choose the one that's going to close. Doesn't matter if it's the most money or the quickest sale or the easiest deal. It needs to be the one that's going to close. So gather as much information as you can. It's nice if you're on site for the showing because then you get to interact with the people and you just be surprised what they say. They're just talking up a storm. And so all that's important. And you can then relay that information to your seller and evaluate those things as you're preparing to make a decision. But choose the one that's going to close.
I think something that's so compelling in a multiple offer situation is, one, has that agent called you? Are they communicating with you? Do you feel like you have good communication with them? Because you have to work a whole deal together. And ultimately, I think that leads to more successful closings than if there's an agent where you feel like you can never get a hold of them. It is quite challenging.
Yeah.
The other thing is I think it's so important to have a full presentation. And I would do that outside of a multiple offer, to have everything in a beautiful Cartier box.
Absolutely.
And that's every single price point, in my opinion.
Yep.
Everything should be dialed in. It should be a slam dunk. And then I also just write a little blurb about how excited, my buyers are when I've been in those situations and really kind of bring the heart into it a little bit. Ultimately, it is just business, but I think, at the end of the day, this is somebody's home, and it's special. So always try to insert that human element into the business deal.
I think Charlotte hit both of y'all just great. Charlotte hit the nail on the head. What we look for is certainly not the price, it's the one that's going to close. And I take that a few steps further I always like it when people have a really fast closing and then lease back, who cares? Stay in it for a month and figure it out. But to me, that really speaks volumes when someone says, here is the money. When I have buyers that do this, I'm like, put that money under their nose. It's yours in 10 days, whatever. Option 7 days, money's in 10. Why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? There's no need to wait once you're through that option period. Show them that you want it. And to lead into that, or to follow that, I also really look at agents' or buyers' response times on when we send something back. I want it back like that because that tells me you want it. I don't like it when people play games and take 24 hours or more to get something back to us. So stay on top of them.
That can be a deal killer.
Yeah.
The longer it goes,
Right.
or, I personally don't recommend 6 rounds of negotiation. I think that can really put a bad taste in a seller's mouth. That, again, not necessarily applicable to a multiple, but I think it's important to, for us to support our clients and, not drawing things out too long because people can get cold feet on both sides.
Yeah.
And with communication, I'm going to give from the inverse perspective. You can't assume that what you think is important, the seller's going to think is important.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'll do an obvious one. Can close in 2 weeks, okay? That might not be good news to the seller, right? They might be like, there is no way I'm moving out in 14 days. So, but if you call a listing agent and say what's important, I'm not really gonna, that's too broad. But if you call me and say, hey, I know you can't give me specifics about the other offers, but are there any topics that seem to motivate your client more than others? And then once I get a little bit of intel from the listing agent, then what I train my agents to do is to do a video. Now, don't overvalue video. I know that sounds weird to say, but some of you do videos and you're just proud that you did a video. You know the ones you've got the selfie light and you're in the studio and I just wanted to go over my offer with you today. Use it as a communication tool. Use it as a way to say, from agent to agent, hey, I just wanted to put a face to the name. I know we haven't worked together. Here's why I think my offer is good. Here's why you're not going to make a mistake working with me. Make it a minute or less and use video to communicate, not to impress. And if you do those 2 things, that'll work.
Yeah. So
Ford's going to do that.
You should.
no. So we actually.
you don't do that?
No, well, I've never done a video intro, but I.
Oh, you
always-
haven't? Oh,
big
man,
time-
yeah,
Oh,
bomb
big
bomb.
on it. Yeah.
You
So
got me an
so we
offer,
actually
we haven't
have been teaching multiple offers, how to write multiple offers for years, and I have a whole formula, and I'll break it down really quick. Right? You try to get in touch with the listing agent. Now, I will tell you that. If I'm a listing agent and I've got multiple offers, it's not my job to get back to you. Okay. In fact, I don't want to. Okay. I mean, I want to see your offer, right? I've literally had 20 offers and people are like, I just want to talk. Hey, how's it going? What are you gonna take? I don't need that, right? Yeah. But you try to get in touch with them, then you text them, ask them what's important to them, and then when you write the offer, put all the terms out, right? And we recommend doing what Barry said is send a video along with that. Hey, just want to let you know about my clients. Here's our offer. And by the way, if this is not the best offer that you have, and you think that we're going to be easy to work with because my terms are attractive to you, please let me know what you can change.
Yeah.
Right? So that gives people a chance to say, why don't you change the price?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong. I've had people say, oh, that's unethical. No, it's not. So, and then final question. Do you have another question?
He looked away from you real quick, Court. He's like, I don't know if that's
One more
what
question.
I'm going to look away.
Okay. What's the one thing you wish you knew 20 years ago? What's the one thing you know now you wish you knew 20 years ago or 10 years ago?
Stay in touch with your clients. Stay in touch with your past clients. That's what I'm doing now I've been in business longer than some of you have been alive. So you're just calling those people on a regular basis, reaching out one way or another, whether it's a text or an email or a phone call, but stay in touch with those people because that's your lifeline.
Oh.
And
Go ahead.
I've been licensed for 5 years, so I'm relatively, new agent in the scheme of things. But something I would tell myself from 5 years ago is naturally I'm a little shy as a person, and I think it can be hard as a newer realtor to continue to put yourself out there. The no's, even though it's business, can feel a little personal. And I would just tell myself, like, nope, just keep doing it again and again and again. And it's up to other people to tell you no one way or the other. And I think that's what I would encourage every realtor is, those no's can start to drag you down a little bit, but I just kept chugging along, and, I love what we do, and I'm so glad I'm a realtor.
So I'll tell you three things. The first two will be probably very different than you will hear from anyone else and very personal with me. And the third one may be a more common answer. But the first two are, especially new in the business, remember that we were in a commission-driven business and you were not going to get a paycheck every month. And so really plan for that and save for that. I've done this for 25 years, and in the last 5 years, I've had times where I went 6 months literally without getting a check. And people think my life is good and fancy and fun. I'm freaking out. So I still don't take my own advice, but please, have yourselves 3 months of runway, because those commission checks aren't always coming.
You need it.
To that,
Escrow your taxes.
IRS taxes, not property. Property taxes I can fix, but IRS. We're in charge of it ourselves. If those of you that are new, as soon as I get a check, 30% goes right into an account that's to go to the IRS. But pay those. I got in the most trouble of my life with them, and the worst 6 years I went through negotiating and paying debt off with them. So make sure you stay on top of those and don't get caught in trouble. It's very easy to do. And the third thing, which is I think the most easy and common thing, for me, I wish I would have started a CRM the day I got in the business. I'm 25 years into it. I've never had a CRM. I don't. I fantasize about having one.
This is the year. This is the year.
Follow up boss is right up there. That's actually the one. Seriously.
Well, it's funny. I see all this and I'm like, yeah, here's a check, 20 grand. Go do it. And then we still can't get it. We've tried. But
there's
just
somebody here
the
that
first
can
day
do
you get in the
Her.
business, put those names in your freaking computer, in your database, and work them. I would give anything if I could go back and start that over. And I would be kicking Bridget's ass if I had one.
I'm not going to tell her you said that.
She's a friend.
Yeah, good
Do you
friend.
at least have like a spreadsheet?
It is in my phone and in my head.
It's in a Whole Foods bag in his
And if
car.
you talk to my 20 contemporaries, it's most of us live that way. It's crazy.
Well, I started when I was 18, so I've been at this for like 3 years now. I'm just kidding. But I did start when I was 18, so it's been a couple of decades now. And I would say that you don't have to work as hard as sometimes people make it out to be. We're not selling vacuum cleaners or ballpoint pens. We don't have to create the need for a house. What we have to do is to be a part of the process when they get interested in the house. And with technology as it stands today, there are so many out-of-the-box solutions that you can always have the right house in front of the right person. I call it radar, but you could call it digital marketing, and have this. So I started in 2016 with 6,000 people. Now I have 162,000 people in my Follow Up Boss account. I just run ads to all of them and skim off the top. It's just an amazing, it's just so much easier because, again, I'm not buy my vacuums. It's, wow, Facebook found houses that the consumer loves based on their behavior. They happen to click it, and I get a ding, and I can just call them and say, think about you, how you been? Oh, that's crazy. I was just on your website, Barry. Really? That happens all the time. It's not and honestly, I think it's because, if we were selling chocolate, I think it would be the same thing. Everybody loves chocolate. But with houses, everybody needs a house. And so we don't have to, I'm not saying to not be interesting or not set yourself apart, but you can literally pay money to be relevant to thousands of people, and it scales.
I send out a newsletter about once a week with some breaks in it, and I go straight to the open list, 2 agents, and I'll make that call. And they're like, oh my God, I just watched your video.
Right.
So, guys, give it up for our luxury panel.
You did such a good job.